Welcome to the Hopenning, the place where hope is happening, with your hosts Fran Cadron and Marina Theron-Monnery. For more information about Fran and Marina, or to apply to be a guest on the show, please go to our website www.hopenning.com. The Hopenning is for informal purposes only and is based on the research of your hosts, Fran and Marina. They, as well as their guests, are not responsible for any losses, damages, or liabilities that may arise from this podcast, which is not intended to replace any professional medical advice or care by medical professionals you are currently utilizing. Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode number 104 of the Hopenning, the place where hope is happening. Hello to my wonderful friend and co-host Fran, and our special guest today, Sayantani Kumar. Sayantani is coming to us from Calcutta in India. Sayantani is a certified clinical hypnotherapist with an M.Sc in psychology from the University of Calcutta in India. In the last 10 years, she has worked with people of varied age groups across different socio-economic backgrounds. Sayantani is a firm believer in holistic healing and is skilled in handling difficulties stemming from anxiety, trauma, self-harm, depression, abuse, relationship issues, fear and phobias, allergies, addiction, chronic pain, self-image, self-confidence, among others. Alongside one-on-one therapy sessions, Sayantani has taught psychology in various international schools. She has conducted mental health workshops in Jadavpur University. Her articles on mental health have been published in Australian Hypnotherapy Association, Hypnotherapy Today magazine of London, along with other national publications. Sayantani, welcome here today. It's such an honor to have you.
Thank you so much. Good morning, Marina and Frank. Thank you so much. Before starting, I would express my heartfelt gratitude for giving me an opportunity for this beautiful invitation for your beautiful show.
Very happy to have you.
Yeah, thank you. Same here.
Sayantani, you look so young, right? Look, when I look at you, you look like you're younger than my kids. So you look like 13 years old. But I'm looking at your bio here, and you've done so much stuff. I'm in awe, really, of all the stuff that you've done. And you're so young, but you've hit on so many things like the anxiety, trauma, self-harm, depression, abuse, relationship. You've taught, you've done articles, international articles in well-published magazines. How did someone who looks like you, who has all these skills, end up here? What brought you to this place where you felt the need to reach out and help so many people in so many different areas of life? You had a journey too, like Marina and I, those of us in the healing field. Well, what was your journey?
I think every healer, because before they become a healer, they go through this huge journey of transformation, gain certain insights from their experiences, from their events, so that they can start to engage and help others and guide others in their journey. Now, if I talk about myself, firstly, I would say that now when I recall my childhood days while growing up, one of the very prominent features and characteristics that I had was I love to help people. Like that can be as simple as, suppose, lending a pencil to my classmates. Or, if someone asks, well, I'm walking on the road, someone asks any direction, like, do you know where this address is? I would love, and somewhere I felt like it came from a place of not expecting something in return. I didn't know that, like I didn't have the wisdom and knowledge to put that in a way, but somehow I felt this immense happiness of anyone coming and, asking for something, even if something, suppose it can be some, suppose someone is not finding anything in the room, in the family, like in the house, they would ask me, like whether it's mom, dad, my elder brother, they're like, do you know where this is? And I would love to search it for them. And as I grew more and stepped into my teenage years, I also experienced certain personal events for which I started having anxiety, lead to a lot of overthinking, a lot of self-doubt, especially in moments where suppose I have to speak up, especially in moments. I remember I was really a good student in examinations where there are written examinations, but when it comes for Viva, where we have to answer vocally, a lot of times it has happened that where I knew the answer, but I felt like, there's this freeze mode happening. I felt like that I'm becoming numb for that moment. And the moment I come out of the examination hall, I realized that, oh, I knew this answer. Why did I forget in that moment? So there were a mixture of a lot of positive events and a lot of not so positive events that somehow made me question um, this fact that I really would love to know myself more, and at the same time, my interest in going further with studying human minds and behavior, like how a person understands something, how a person perceives something. People are so different when they perceive a very similar event and how they receive the learning from it, how they receive what they want to do the learning, like how they want to execute the learning in future from that. So through this mixture of my helpful nature and at the same time experiencing certain struggles and challenges that led me to experience anxiety, I wanted to study the human mind and behavior and how one operates in a specific different context, how one has different versions of themselves in different relationships. We all have different versions. Like the version that I am with my mother is very different the version I am with my father or with my elder brother or even my husband or even my peers or my colleagues. So I wanted to learn this from a more holistic part, not just from the theoretical, the anatomical part, also from a philosophical and more spiritual aspects, I feel. Because even after studying masters in psychology, I still felt that there was a part in me where there, like there is a part in me where I have still some unanswered questions, where I still want to know certain parts of human beings. Like, even if sometimes they know how they want to respond, they know what they're experiencing, but still find difficulties in coming out of certain loop, difficulties in managing certain emotional attachment, difficulties in accepting some pain that they're experiencing on a physiological, emotional, mental level. So thereby, I not only went into the studying undergrads, masters in psychology with a social psychologist specialization because I was always interested in relationships, in interpersonal relationships, whether it's a relationship with self and others, because we are all connected. We are all thriving for connection. We are social beings. And connection is one thing that I feel not only helps us to recognize ourselves, our core self, connection is also one thing that helps us to understand where we stand in specific relationships. So there, after that, after the masters, I sticked a little deeper, and the experience with hypnotherapy was with self, because I undergone a few personal sessions regarding the struggles that I said. And I realized, oh my goodness, this is beautiful. Not only I can travel across time and space, I can regress back to those events, but at the same time, there's this huge relief in completing the chapter in my mind of those incomplete moments. And somehow knowing that the chapter is over in the present but still I can get connected to that feeling, to that moment, and gain the insight and a different perspective so that I can use it from now on. That I felt was quite a very powerful, transformative learning for me.
That's quite amazing. And I was actually going to ask you specifically because psychology today is, I think, such a vast field, touching on so many aspects, and yet you gravitated toward hypnosis. But I think you answered that already. Um, so I spent a little bit of time in India, and I have some very dear Indian friends and clients. And I know that part of the culture in India is this is very much outside of their comfort zone. So how did you breach that? How are you dealing with that?
So in the first few months, there were confusion from my side, to be very honest, to introduce myself as clinical hypnotherapist, and especially since I really love to write. Writing is not only my passion, writing is also, I feel, is my coping strategy. It helps me
Love
a
it.
lot to release the unreleased feelings. Um, so when one of my writings started, one of my first writings got published, and there was this the name, and it's written like clinical hypnotherapist. Uh, that was the first time I felt like the course and the journey of me choosing to be a clinical hypnotherapist, that led me to you know be a different version. The first thing that I need to practice on is not to question that same part that has helped me to evolve. I feel the first two feeling that I started to work on is hope and faith regarding being a clinical hypnotherapist, that yes, I have seen this work on myself. And I believe that the best practice and the best proof is when we work on ourselves and see the change that we are going through. And then slowly and slowly, I started, whether it's any getting invitation from any book launch event or any podcast or anywhere where I need to vocalize myself more, because I also had this challenge of speaking up, as I said, while growing up. So I used this part of vocalizing and saying more and more that, yes, I know that this works. And I started seeing that the more I reinforced this belief, the more the clients came to me, because I also work on, from being a counseling psychologist, there are people who are okay with just a cognitive counseling. So, but there are people who want to work through hypnosis. So I started seeing there are more clients coming to work on certain things through hypnosis, whether it can be in inner child therapy, whether it can be past life, anything. But they also started believing, as I started believing in myself and in my work. That I felt was the most prominent part of my journey of introducing myself as a clinical hypnotherapy in a place where it is still a little difficult, but I say that in the last 5-6 years, I've seen much progress than before. There are more clinical hypnotherapists in India than before. Because earlier, when we used to talk in a group of mental health professionals, the ratio of clinical hypnotherapists was very rare, as you said also. Now it has it's going forward, which I feel is a relief for us.
So my question is, I've never been to India, right? And I don't have close friends of that culture, of that origin. So what is it about India that people are hesitant about hypnotherapy? What is it about the culture? Because I certainly know what it is here in our culture, but can you explain it in yours, please?
I feel the concept of spirituality, uh, a lot of times it gets clouded with maybe superstition, maybe a lot of false beliefs, maybe it is something that is not scientific or grounded by uh, logical reasoning. So, somewhat there is still a lot of taboo regarding any healing modalities, which is based on alternative science, energy science, as we say now. So, and also I feel since it is largely an experiential therapy, before a person experiences it, how it feels like, it is, I feel the best way to understand that is through experience it. If we don't experience it, it's like it is so eternal and it is so pure, I feel. It's like when we experience, suppose, for example, if a friend comes to me and tells me that, define what true love is. And the moments that I will recall in my life will be the moments of such a pure amount of love that it will be hard for me to define it in words. I feel clinical hypnotherapy or any alternative science is extremely analogous to that. It is so experiential that until and unless we experience it in each and every cell of our body through each and every breath, it's very, I won't say tough, but I will say it's a better way to explain if someone experiences it directly. So I feel now more and more people are experiencing it. So thereby, more and more people are also gaining the faith and belief that this works.
It's interesting
which I
because
feel
I
was
think
a little less in the last 5 years. Oh, sorry. Yes.
no problem. For Fran and I also as hypnotherapists, I think Hollywood has really tarnished hypnotherapy because my first introduction into it was stage hypnotherapy or hypnotism, where they would make people cluck like a chicken and things like that. And so I think even today, Fran and I, when we started this podcast, 2.5 years ago now, right, Fran? Gosh, feels like a lifetime. It We once had a question and answer period, and some of the questions that came out of that was exactly that. So it's yeah. So I think we are in that sense kind of in the same boat with it. So what is it, uh, Shantani, that gets you out of bed every day? Like if you're very passionate about your work. And so tell us more about that passion, the things that drive you to keep on doing what you are doing.
Firstly, I would say that I love the fact that two things. Every client that I encounter, I think this is quite similar with all the other healers also, that every client that we encounter, suppose 10 people are experiencing anxiety and they come to me, and suppose when we write or when we listen to them, diagnose them, discuss the case with them, even if everyone can say, yes, I'm experiencing anxiety, but the narrative around that anxiety is so subjective. It's extremely unique. And I feel even if someone gets 10,000 pounds on anxiety, there will be 10,000 new stories to learn from. And I feel this is one profession where we learn so much as the therapist. We learn so much, and it's sometimes I feel not sometimes, almost all the time. Uh, every client comes at a time in our lives in a context where we are also going through some similar points that they are experiencing. And I have seen not only once, but several times that through their therapy, I also upgrade myself. That I feel is one of the biggest blessing of being a therapist. That
I would
drives me
agree.
much.
Shantani, I would agree because, before I started doing this, we can be sympathetic, we can be empathetic, right? So a friend of ours is telling what's going on in their life and we can sympathize with them. But when we take a client back into their childhood, or like you do, even past that, there's something that changes, right? There's something that changes even within the relationship between the client and myself,
Yes.
where it's
Yes.
like, oh, it's like I see it too, because they are seeing a vision of what they went through as a youngster or a past life or whatever. It's like I'm there with them, right? And I'm helping them through it and cope, helping them through that situation, because at the time they were unable to do that because of their age or because of their inexperience or because of their whatever was going on in their life. They were unable to cope. So as therapists, we're able to help them through that and move them. And it's almost like we are taken as well to our own little situation, whatever it was, and we can move ourselves too. And different theories of thought, different philosophers, different would say that's the collective consciousness, the collective love. When we can raise somebody else up, the whole world is raised in vibration. You know, we're all raised up a little bit in our own healing of everyone is raised. And so I think, you know, you being so quiet and not being able to talk, you know, that's, I think, Marina and myself as well. Like, we were very quiet children because of whatever, you know,
I
our
don't think I
backgrounds
was.
as well. Okay, I know I was.
Yeah.
We were making up for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, like God's gift, like our gift from Creator God, is that ability now to be such good listeners and to hear and to empathize and to be with that client and to allow them to recover what was lost or get back again in their own healing. So I mean, it's a wonderful thing that we all do. And I really think, because, you know, I'm looking at your bio here, you make mention of various age groups and across different socio-economic backgrounds. So, I mean, in Canada here, we're all, you know, there's a little bit of that. But where you are in India, like, what is the extent of the socioeconomic background differences in the clients that you're able to work with?
Oh, huge. Because I remember when I did my master's and I did my first independent project with my peers, we used to collect data from slums in Kolkata. And there was this beautiful experiment that we did that was focused on more focused with discussion in social psychology. And we did this experiment titled The Concept of Beauty Across Children in Various Different Socioeconomic Status. Like how a child describes what beauty is, where they live, how they live their life, the kind of livelihood they see in their parents, and the way they see themselves and others experience and express happiness. Through these moments, how do they describe beauty? And interestingly, we saw difference in responses, and we did collected data from children in the slums to lower middle class, upper middle class, and the niche population also, all children. And there were a few really powerful examples. Some statements. I remember there was this little child, 6, 7 years old, and he said that. So he used to stay in the slums, and he says that her mother is a maid, and he says that when my mother comes home in the evening after work, she gets freshened up and she wears this red bindi that we have in culture. I think that's the most beautiful thing I see every day.
Mm.
And it just lit my heart with joy when I saw this and heard this from. And a lot of times I feel also that as adults we have this somewhat a tendency to uh, feel that like when we're talking to children we know more because we are adults, we have seen life more, we have more experiences, we are more matured. But when these powerful statements come from children, it's a beautiful moment to sit back and really listen and soak it all in. So there was a huge difference. And I feel there was another child from quite a niche status. And she said that beauty is mostly show off. Beauty is like how much of gold someone is wearing in an occasion. So, which branded shades you're wearing. So, somewhere down the line, beauty is showing people how much materialistic value you have. So, when I was collecting all the data, and there was this really striking difference in the responses of how they perceive beauty.
It's so interesting because that makes me feel as if, number one, living in the present moment and be grateful for what you have, doesn't matter what your circumstances are. And I think happiness cannot be defined by wealth. And I think that is quite evident in that. And what a privilege, Shantani, to be able to work with so many different backgrounds and diversity. And in our Western world, I think Calcutta rose to fame because of Mother Teresa working in the slums. So it's something that I think we can all even picture today, is the life there, and seeing it for myself firsthand. It's eye-opening, but it's also humbling. And what I appreciate about India is that they are not really separated from normal life. They are part of the infrastructure, where in South Africa, where I grew up, they were separated. So it's quite a difference.
So, as you're talking about the little child in the slum who thought beauty was the dot on the forehead, and then the upper class thought that beauty was gold or the kind of sunglasses somebody's wearing. That's super symbolic. Like, I think there's so much symbolism in that, because when you're wearing that on the forehead, it directs attention at the eyes, right?
Yeah.
It's like I can see my mom, I'm looking at my mom's eyes, and my mom is looking at my eyes. You can't not look at somebody's eyes if you're looking at that dot on the forehead. But if you're looking at gold, it's down here, it's around the neck or wherever. Sunglasses, you can't even see the eyes. So it's almost as though the child in the slum can see into their mom's soul, right? It's like they can
Beautiful
actually
analogy,
see
friend.
the
That's a
beauty of their
beautiful way of
mom,
saying
the deep beauty, rather than shielded by external whatever, glamour, the glamour of it all. So you talk about how you handle how you do mental health workshops. Like what types of people, or is it a certain class of people that you handle mental health workshops for? Is it people within the
mostly
university
mostly
setting?
college goers till now, and I've done one with professors. But mostly my till now my specialization age range has been adolescents to young adulthood. This range I feel I love to work with, because I feel those are the years of mostly the transition period of what we took in before 8 years, as we say, before the conscious mind became highly operative, when we were operating from subconscious mind. And it's a bridge between those core memories, then the preteen stage, the adulthood, and then we get ready to face the real world, the as an adult, as an independent self. I feel the bridge between those adulthood and really childhood days before 8 years is the preteen and teenage years. And I feel when clients come from this age range, they're building their lives for future, I feel. Of course, clients from every age, they have their story to tell, but these range somewhat, I feel more interested in work with. I feel they're the ones who are going into the adulthood or started their adulthood, and like they're ready to face the world, and at the same time they're also uh, getting a maybe second or third chance to relive the past and seek new perspective before they step into as a more wiser adult self. So somewhat this age range attracts me a lot. I want to work
Amazing.
with them more.
So you're literally sculpting the adults of the next generation, and that's just beautiful.
I hope so.
Yeah,
I
that's
believe
great.
so.
So, Shantani, our show is all about hope, the place where hope is happening. And so, if you, from where you are, have to
Mhm.
give our audience hope today, what would you tell us?
I feel hope, firstly, it's a very beautiful name. Yeah, when I first saw Hopenning, like happening with hope, maybe it's a very beautiful name because I feel hope is that one emotion, feeling that we are all born with. I feel when a child is born, a newborn child, that child, irrespective of where they're born, irrespective of all the social cultural aspects, that child can't do anything to survive of their own. But at the same time, the child has immense hope to live on and to go through the journey of life. And they operate from their core self so that with this huge hope of, staying aligned with their purpose of life all the lifetime. So hope is that one feeling that we are born with. And somehow from time to time, when we grow up, I feel when struggles happen, when we are faced with challenges, when we come out of the core self and we maybe sometimes enter the survival mode or we shape into a new person which we don't want to be, depending on the context that we're experiencing. Somehow we lose out with the touch of this hope that we are born with. The one major message to the audience today will be you can never run out of time to get reconnected with this hope. There is always time to get reconnected with this hope. So it's not that I always tell my clients in the therapy sessions also, when you're doing a therapy, it's not that you're forming or becoming something new. It's you're going back to who you are. You get reconnected to your core self. You get reconnected to the hope and faith. Those two emotions connect the past with the future, but without the ego judgment and the fear that, the fear of the past will not get repeated in the future. Rather, there is the huge strength in the present to reshape and remodify it so that even if I carry the same memories, I carry different perceptions of the memory into the future. And I would like to add one beautiful concept of this also regarding clinical hypnotherapy or any other counseling actually, that this concept, that awareness that we are connected with across, time and space through the trance, through the induction in clinical hypnotherapy, that also helps us to dissolve the fear of the past that we are carrying and somewhat bringing more joy and happiness into the present moment. And that helps to breed mindfulness, which I feel is a huge, huge, powerful thing that we also, I feel, a message to the audience today, that bringing back the hope and faith with the things that you're believing in, with the things that you're doing, will help you to get back to who you are and reach your highest potential.
Mhm. I when as you talk about going back and the hope and the faith, I think about North America and other parts of the world as well. Um, I think here in North America, we think from 0 to 90 or whatever is all the time we'll ever have, right? That's it. That's all we've got is like from 0 years old to whatever time we leave this world, right? And yet, the older I get, the more I realize it's unending. It's not And it's not a religion. This is not about religion. This is about faith. I think it's about faith and the understanding that our energy is never going to be lost. Our soul, our essence is never going to be lost. Like, yeah, my stuff is going to be gone, and my kids will sell it all off, and their kids will, all of that stuff. But my essence has gone out there, and it'll always remain. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about getting older is we have that experience that our joy, who we are, is eternal. It's eternal. It lives, it's out there, but it's in here as much as it's out there or in heaven or wherever our religion decides for us that the eternal God is, right? So it's and I know it's an interesting thing getting older, and being able to understand why we are the way we are, right? Whatever circumstances in our own lives, in our childhood or before that even, brought us to this experience of Marina and you and me being here on the screen today. This is all been divinely, there's a reason. And whether it's somebody that tuned in today for the first time or whether someone who watches us all the time, there's a reason we're all here together today. It is not by accident. And that's the beauty. That's the beauty of it. And we don't need to be heavy spiritual people to know that. So it's beautiful.
I love what you said, Sayantani, about that. Reminding them of who they were when they first came into this world, and that clean slate, before we become identified as our struggles and assume that identity of being a victim, and always reminding them of who they really are. I absolutely love that. That is one of my favorite things in the world. So thank you for reminding us of that.
Thank you. I remember there was this little girl who came in the session, and just after the demise of her mother, she was 13, 8 or 9, and her mother experienced basically committed suicide, and she witnessed that. Then she came from school and she saw that, and in the hypnotherapy sessions, when we connected her with the energy of the mother. And how interesting, sometimes as a therapist, we think that there's so much work to do in the sessions, like we read the theories, we're like, okay, this might be a very difficult case, a child has come, oh my God, there will be so many sessions, I have to learn this, that, I have to be so into it. And I remember she did few sessions, and after that, when the session came, the time came of her connecting with the energy of the mother. That was the last session, actually. All she wanted was to get connected with her mother and say, I'm sorry if I have hurt you anyway, that led you to this. And she didn't want any answer or explanation, just wanted this to share. And I remember the next day she woke up, she messaged me, and she said that I'm free of that. And that day I also realized that we sometimes feel that a lot of times connecting to our self or self might come with a lot of consequences, might come with a lot of resistance, might come with a lot of losses. But when we actually reach that point, when we go back to our core self, we realize that this was the ultimate point we were waiting to reach, to experience.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
So you've done so much in your life. What's coming next? I mean, you're young and you have a lot of future ahead of you. What do you hope for next for yourself? What direction?
Firstly, I love painting. I would love to make something based on illustrations regarding mental and emotional health. because that is also one thing, as I said, when I grew up, I lost touch with one of my core parts, which is painting. Now I'm slowly going back to that. And now I want to connect art with mental health. Let's see what comes. This is one thing I feel. Visuals is one thing that, since we collect memories through narratives and visuals, visual is a very powerful way of getting connected with anything that we're experiencing, not just pain, pleasure also. This is one part. And I feel the more we feel that this concept of feeling connected and then getting the freedom from it, and then feeling connected and getting the freedom from it, the more it's practiced, the more to and fro we can do with that. And it seems that there will be more flexibility in understanding that it is okay to receive certain things, let go of certain things, receive certain things. This pattern that I feel in almost all the cases, we find that there is difficulty in acceptance, there is difficulty in letting go, there is difficulty in validation, and then getting the learning from that. So that's one of my plans. And I love to write. Let's see, one day I might end up writing a book. I pray for that. And of course, we are all students for lifetimes. We keep on learning. That is the one thing for constant.
Well, you have to keep us updated if you ever release that, when you release that book, to let us know.
Of course.
And would love to see that. I think a lot of the wisdoms that you've shared with us today would be absolutely beautiful in the book. And all the articles that you've written so far would be amazing to see. Oh, goodness. Well, Sayantani, thank you so much for being with us today, and really appreciate you sharing with us your passion, your wisdoms, your experiences. It was just a joy to listen to you, to see you today. And thank you, Fran, for always being here and just adding so much to giving us all hope. Really appreciate that.
Thank you, Varuna. Thank you, Fran. Namaste. Thank you once again for giving me
this namaste. Namaste.
Namaste.
Okay. Okay, thank you everybody for watching and listening to us today. Remember to subscribe, whether you are on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, on YouTube, or any other platform that you will find us. Remember to subscribe and follow us, and we will bring you more hope next week. Have a wonderful week.